Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Tommy Wave Budget Deck Series. Today we're going to be taking a look at Druid, as you can probably tell from the title, as you can probably tell from the deck list if you are checking this out over on Hearthstone. Druid is a deck that is a class that has been performing tremendously, basically ever since the halfway through last year. The release of Malfurion the Pestilent was kind of the harbinger, and Spreading Plague was the harbinger for Druid being on top for a very long time. Unfortunately, not a lot of great budget options for Druid, so what we're going to be trying to do today is get as much power as we can out of the dust that we have to spend. Speaking of, before we go through anything, we always like to look at the criteria of the budget deck series. As you can see there, we don't set any arbitrary dust limits. Instead, what we're going to focus on is making sure that we have the solid core of a deck, which could be, 4 to 6 rares, and we want to make sure that you have a reasonable upgrade path with that deck. I'm going to show you a bunch of high-performing Druid decks, and hopefully we can get you some cards that, if you did want to invest a couple of thousand more dust, or some gold, or whatnot, you can actually have a tier 1 Druid deck. And lastly, that point there, not so much relevant now, but certainly once the next set is released, we are going to be trying to prioritize cards that aren't rotating. We want to make sure that the dust that we're spending is very much well worth it. The other thing I want to let you guys know quickly, just very quickly, is all the stats that I use to make all these decks I get from HS Replay. I use their premium service. It's very good, gets you the best numbers in the game, and if you want to jump on that, you can certainly go use their free service. And if you do want to upgrade to premium, you can use the referral code there, and it really helps me out. So I definitely appreciate that. Alright, so let's take a look at a couple of these Druid decks. So I've got a couple of them here for you. This one here is a Token Druid deck. Token Druid is traditionally in the past been a budget deck that we've looked at. It's typically a very aggressive deck, very low curve, aims to try and vomit out as many things as possible, and then buff them up with cards like Savage Roar or Power of the Wild, which we still see here. But instead, what Token Druid is doing more so these days is playing a much higher curve. Starting things off with usually around 4, we often see cards like Strong Shell Scavenger. We sometimes see Oaken Summons packages with cards like Violet Teacher. It's a very common one. Whispering Woods is a great way to vomit a whole bunch of things onto the board, and often combines these effects with Soul of the Forest, which means that if your opponent does have a board clear and they want to clear all your 1/1s out, they're going to be replaced by 2/2s. So it means your opponent has to have quite a lot of AoE in order to get rid of all of your things. Recently, the deck has been supplemented by cards like Giggling Inventor, which can help slow the game down, but also just provide a different dynamic, I guess. These Divine Shield, smaller Divine Shield minions, as opposed to the many 1/5s that are around. And this type of deck has caused Mossy Horror to become a really big part of the metagame. Moving on, we've got Taunt Druid. Taunt Druid kind of popped up, focusing on, slowing the game down, summoning a lot of taunts. We've got Ironwood Golems with the Oaken Summons. We sometimes see other 4-drop taunts in here as well. Trog Gloomeater has come out as a really interesting meta choice to rip off of your Master Oakheart, which I think is pretty cool. But the whole idea of this deck is you want to slow the game down. Some of these big, huge taunt boys, these Primordial Drakes, these Lich Kings, use Dragon Hatches to rip them out of your deck. Sleepy Dragons as well. Oakheart gets all of these things in play. And at the end of the day, you've got Hadronox, you've got Naturalize. You can play Hadronox, kill it, let your opponent draw 2 cards, but it's going to bring back all of those nasty, huge taunts. And we've even got Witching Hour in here, so we can rinse and repeat. The last deck that I want to show you for the Druids is this Malagos Druid. I took this deck a little bit before Surprise Toast. I think it was Toast. Someone came up with the big triple win condition Druid, which kind of combined a lot of the Token Druid strategies together. But this is just the kind of Malagos side of that, where we're trying to get a Trigger the World Tree, and on turn 9 or 10, preferably 10, we're going to drop a Malagos, use the last charge of our Twig of the World Tree, have 10 mana, and then we're going to go absolutely ham on our opponent with cards like Swipe, with cards like Moonfire. We can even A lot of these decks play ways to copy the Malygos with Libidinous Floop or the old school Faceless Manipulator, but you're essentially just trying to dump as many Malygos into play, Moonfire your opponent's face off. Pretty straightforward, but obviously this deck does have 6 legendaries in it, so maybe not necessarily the most attainable deck for a budget player, like possibly yourself. So what I've done is I've come up with a Token Druid deck that's more the old school style of Token Druid. We're going to try and flood the board, we're going to try and get our damage in early and often, and we're going to use cards like Soul of the Forest to as a way to not die, as opposed to a way to kind of extend our value, if that makes sense. So we'll take a look at the kind of core of this Token Druid deck. Like I said, we want to start early, we want to start strong, so I've included what I feel are a couple of the strongest 1-drops in the deck, in Hearthstone, in Standard at the moment. We've got Argent Squire, Diamol, Firefly, all fantastic cards, fantastic 1-drops, help us control the board early on. We've got Direwolf Alpha to capitalize on that wide kind of board, and Power of the Wild to do the same thing. Can also substitute in as a 2-mana 3/2 if you need it, but ideally we want to be using it to pump all of our minions and get a lot of immediate damage in. Going up to the 3-drops, we've got Crypt Lord in here, doing its best Tar Creeper impression. Does it better most of the time, but this is really going to help us protect those Direwolf Alphas, protect those more brittle minions, by having this just huge Taunt Boy in here. And you know, if your opponent doesn't answer this, you can really get out of control quite quickly. Alright, we've got a newer edition from Boomsday with Landscaping. So this is 4/4 worth of stats for 3 mana, spread across 2 bodies. This is where we really want to be, because if we do use our Power of the Wild, if we use Savage Roar, we're essentially getting double the value off of those things. So Landscaping is going to be a really interesting tool to play around with here. Savage Roar, as we mentioned before, this is kind of one of the big win conditions of the deck. We want to have, 5-6 minions in play a Savage Roar, and it's, 10, 12, 14, maybe even more damage. And we're going to use that to hopefully put an end to the game nice and quickly. Solar Forest, as we mentioned before, this is going to help us against decks like Big Spell Mage, or in particular Control Warlock is what I expect we'll come up against a bit more often. We can use Soul of the Forest before they get their Hellfire down, and it means if they do Hellfire, they're still taking a huge amount of damage next turn. They're damaging themselves as well, so they really have to have the right answer, multiple Defiles, things like that, to get through. And lastly, we've got the top of the curve here, Giggling Inventor. This is a fantastic craft, a huge neutral card, represents a big portion of the game, goes into a lot of different decks, so this is a really good craft. It also is 3 bodies for the price of 1, and those bodies tend to stick around a little bit longer because of the Divine Shield on the Annoyatrons. And Fungal Mancer, trusty old Fungal Mancer, another card that's going to reward us for going a bit wide. We can hopefully curve into 2, 3, 4 into Fungal Mancer and really push some damage in, but we will be keeping an eye out if that Fungal Mancer is better than, say, a Cobalt Scalebane. So this is the full deck. I filled the 1-drops out with an Acarus Veteran. Unsure if that's the best one here, but I think it's a good choice. We've got an Acidic Swampooze in here as a bit of tech. A 1 of Lost Spirit is this card I'm just experimenting with. Could have been another tech card, could have been like a Silence or something like that, but I think there might be some merit to this Lost Spirit. I think there was one in a deck we played a while ago, and it was just the sickest card. So we'll see how well that one goes. We've also got some Vicious Fledglings in here. This card is something that can give us a free win oftentimes. Hopefully our opponent's going to be too obsessed with trying to answer the rest of our board once they notice that we're a very aggressive deck, and we might be able to sneak a Vicious Fledgling in when they don't have any answers. It also is supported really well by Crypt Lord and by Saronite Chain Gang, which is one of the great follow-ups that we have. Also another fantastic card, goes into a lot of different decks, different Druid decks, Shadowwalk Shaman, these kinds of things. So another great craft here. And that's basically it. So ultimately, I think with this deck, I think we'll be able to get some wins, especially if you're playing this deck at rank 20. It should be pretty straightforward. But the main thing that I've tried to do here is make sure that the dust that you're spending is really well worth it, that you can take these cards, play them in a different deck, or play them in, a Druid deck in the future. All right, well, without further ado, let's jump into some games and see how we go.
Act the wild.
All right. Here against Paladin, do we keep this Lost Spirit? Probably not. Especially against Paladin, we have a lot of really high value cards, in particular Crypt Lord, if we suspect it's Odd Paladin. So I will send this Lost Spirit back. Legend or Dad Legend this month? We'll see how we go, honestly. Like, you know me. Like, we'll jam some games, we'll get to rank 5, like, no problem. And if there's a deck that we really like, or, we get on a bit of a roll, then we'll go for it. Currently nothing jumping out as super entertaining. The most fun I've had with decks is a lot of the odd warrior decks we've played, the odd mech warriors. But they're so slow. Oh my gosh. The idea of laddering with those decks is just unimaginable.
What to do?
So we'll trade the Divine Shield off the Argent Squire in case they have Blessing of Might, because we don't want them to be able to use Blessing of Might to get a nice free trade on the Direwolf Alpha.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
So when I was writing this deck up, I cut the swipes for
The scourge will devour all.
The Fungal Mancers. I think I actually put the Giggling Inventors in the deck first. Ironbeak Owl. Savage. Coin level up? Nah, yeah, they didn't have the coin, but that's obviously something we were trying to mitigate as much as possible. How do we feel about Acris Venom Flame Elemental Power of the Wild? I feel pretty good about that.
Speak your peace.
Find a room. Find a room.
Well, we should have killed the Ironbeak Owl with this Crypt Lord, but I think the card we really need to be careful of is Vine Cleaver.
Speak your peace.
I think that card can possibly kill us
Reporting for
all on
duty.
its lonesome.
For the wild.
What a boy.
Find a room.
Though, if we do manage to hit a Soul of the Forest, particularly next turn, if we hit a Soul of the Forest next turn,
Reporting for duty.
we're in
The
there.
light dims, but we fight.
Ooh, Giggling Inventor? Yes.
What to do?
No, we really gotta not die to level up, right?
For the wild.
How do you all feel about not dying to level up?
Here there is no light.
Job done.
Hero power level up next turn. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to avoid, is if they have 2 silver hand recruits,
Reporting for
we don't
duty.
want them to be able to next turn go 2 more level up.
Mushroom power!
It's pretty good turn for them. But now's I think where we want to trigger our lost spirit. So let's get this giggling inventor out. Here, over here,
I wonder.
over here. Here we go and trade.
Wine-a-roo!
Just gotta keep trading.
The light protects me.
Then we've set up for a savage roll. That should be pretty good.
Reporting for duty.
There's the level up. What's this? What's this? What's this?
I
Glacial
shall eat
Oh, Glacial Shard might slow things down. For sure.
you. The scourge will devour all.
For the wilds.
Fight.
Don't forget. What's this? 7, 12, 17, 22. That's what you should do, kids. Just do the math after. Sweet. So that was pretty good. We played around level up. Yeah, got the win. We are here up against the Hunter on the play. So we've got a 1-drop. I think we really want to try and curve out against a Hunter, particularly if they are, you know, Death Rattle Hunter. We want to make sure that we can put some pressure on them. Not great here. Obviously, we'd rather have the fledgling and the chain gang instead of the roar and the solar forest. But
Here there is no light.
at least have a call here, curve here, and we can see how good this lost spirit is. Preferably, we can hit a landscaping or maybe a crypt boy. They coined out the Devil's Ore egg.
The light protects me.
Yes, we should kill this.
For the wilds.
We just don't have the pressure on board to kind of ignore it and go under our opponent. I like an egg kill.
What to do?
So we can Solar Forest, but it's very weak, or we can Vicious Fledgling, knowing that like 3,000,000% they'll trade into it with the Devil's Ore. But they could have Flanking Strike as well. So I think we just want to not get completely wrecked by the Flanking Strike and hope that we can hide behind the
Join me.
Giggling Inventor
Fight.
afterwards. It's really weak. Queen Egg Scream's Terrascale or PD. Yeah,
This beast will not
I was
be
definitely
tamed.
scared of the Terra scale there. Just because of the body. The play dead wouldn't have been so bad. Like, our opponent going, you know, turn 3, 8/8, essentially. That's a real weird attack. I think I'm actually going to trade this Lost Spirit now to buff these up to 2/2.
Join me.
Oh, now we can actually just kill the Devil's Law. The return giggling momentum. Huh. How wrecked are we going to get by Rexar next turn? That's the question. You really don't want to get destroyed by Rexar. So let's just play it a little bit safe.
Job's done.
Especially with the way that our opponent's been playing the last couple of turns. I think Rexar is a card that makes total sense for them to have. You know, not a lot of early options. Turn 4 play was a Stitch Tracker rather than a flanking strike. Nothing like that. Alright, let's see what we can do. Maybe we should have done the +1 actually. Wow. $11. So if we Savage Roar this turn, that'll be 3. Yeah, we can trade off 2 of these.
For the wild.
AK, what's going on? Joined us at a very interesting time.
The light protects me.
Very interesting time indeed. If our opponent's got another, if they've got the flanking strike, if they've got another hunter's mark. Just the Grizzly for now.
Your weakness.
As the Terra Scale Stalker that they couldn't play. What am I looking at? You're looking at some budget token Druid. That's what we've whipped up today.
The scourge will devour all.
For the wilds.
Flappy Bird? Yeah, Flappy Bird trying to do some stuff. But, oof. Yep. So, definitely big regretty that we didn't, here up the world played. Big regrets that we didn't just kind of trade off for the Witchwood Grizzly last turn. Would cost us our Flappy Bird. So we get a couple of extra damage in there. I think we still might lose that game, but I think we definitely should have traded. But oh well, it was a close one, really close one. Glad we performed. All right, here against the Priest. Got an Argent Squire. I think we'll send back the Landscaping, try and hit one of those 2-drops. There are less 2-drops in the deck than 3-drops. And of course, we do get an extra draw before turn 3 to hit a 3-drop. So, nice and aggressive here. Great. Still doesn't tango very well with a
The light protects me.
a turn 1 Northshire Cleric. But we'll see what our opponent's up to. There's a lot of kind of viable to semi-viable priest decks out there.
I fight.
But turn 2 is where things start to kind of get interesting. See if they've got was it Dead Ringers or whatever? Ooh, Radiant Element. Yeah, happy to
For the wild.
I fight.
trade our Divine Shield for that. This is where that Landscaping would have been pretty good. But there's not too many bad draws next turn. It's only the 2 Fungal Mancers that make for a bad draw. Gilded Gargoyle. Not seeing this card in a hot minute. I think we'll just save this Solar Forest to try and pair with one of the Giggly Inventors. I think we'll actually go for the Savage Roar here. It's a bit of a tempo Savage Roar.
For the wild.
I fight.
Job done.
I think we have the ability to grind our opponent out with these Giggling Inventors. But we're still not sure what our opponents are doing. We saw Gilded Gargoyle in a lot of these kind of Shadow Reaper Andrew and kind of combo things. Zerek Clone OTK Prophecy? You reckon it's that? Jeez, I haven't seen that since like week 1.
I wonder.
Or am I thinking of the wrong deck? Maybe I'm thinking of the one with the one that makes all your death rattles go off and they die at the end of the turn. Am I allowed to leave this Radiant Elemental in play?
I wonder.
Alright, we'll leave. Maybe a colossal mistake, but dumps the 1/1s and Mind Blast with double damage Malgus. Okay. Mechathune, yeah, there's the Shadow Essence. Okay. So probably got to kill that. Hey.
I fight.
Europe draws the combo creatures. Our board's too like. Board doesn't do enough damage. It's Holy Nova. Had to get Holy Nova'd. Spirit. Okay, that's what's up. Coin 4. Okay. Sounds like we're pretty dead. But we'll go for it. Opponent doesn't have too many cards in their hand, so
Unity.
where's the chance that they don't have it? Ooh. Chizzy Gizang. Alright. It's a long way to the shop if you want a Chico roll. We want that Chico roll. We want to eat it. I want to eat this priest. Oh, come on. Watch them draw the death and decay. Chrome. Just cleave our board in half. Two, 4, 6, 8. If he has Scream, he probably uses it now.
For the wild.
Maybe they don't have it. I find it strange that they don't have it. They haven't had, yeah, the Shadow Visions, and the only AoE they had was Spirit Lash. They did have the Death and Decay. That's so funny. It's okay. There's still a chance. We just gotta believe in ourselves. Believe in the Savage Roar. Come on. Come on. This is Spirit Lash. Ah. Yeah. Don't think there's a...
I dream in a world trend.
Yeah, no, we're not coming back from this one, unfortunately.
I can see.
Whoa! Calm down, you Sarah. Too many particle effects for you. Alright, let's take a look at the deck. Honestly, I was actually really impressed with how well this budget deck was doing. I think there are a lot of really interesting elements. I think that one Lost Spirit was really cool. The only thing I'd like to maybe do is just sort out this curve a little bit. I think one of the kind of issues we were having is, you know, a lot of those mulligans felt a little bit awkward. The curve wasn't exactly going off, and maybe it's just a thing where we need to play more games and, you know, really kind of nut out exactly what's going on in terms of that. But every card felt like it had a place. I'd love to maybe get like a swipe in here, or potentially a silence, maybe an Ironbeak Owl, or a Spellbreaker. But for now, I think this is a really great budget deck, especially for a lot of you who need to, you know, win some Druid games for a quest, or you want to climb the ladder and make sure you get those season rewards. Definitely consider picking this one up. I've made sure to include we've only got neutral rares in here, so you can feel free to craft these and you'll be able to use them in all your other decks. But yeah, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this latest edition of the Budget Deck series. definitely jump over to the Hearthpone deck article that's linked below. Give us a nice +1, leave a lovely thoughtful comment, as I know you will, and feel free to catch me over on Twitter at Tommy_Wave or on Twitch at Tommy_Wave. And until next time, please stay safe and stay wavy. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out other ones over here, or come subscribe to the Wave Pool for more excellent times.